So we're with Frank Chappell here in San Rafael, California. And Frank is well known to most of us who have been collecting for a long time. But Frank, I got to admit, you're one of the most mysterious guys that I've ever had the pleasure to trade with over the years. I think I've known you for maybe 30 years.
Oh yeah, you were one of my first mentors, actually.
I've been accused of that by many people, but I don't think anybody's ever met you. You know, really, who is this Frank Chappell guy? You know, this is Frank Chappell
out
right
on the
here.
West Coast, yeah.
So, you know, we spent the last few days together, and I think people would like a chance to get to know who Frank Chappell is, a little bit about you, your history, and then we'll talk about what got you into collecting. And so, just tell me a little bit about Frank, the history of Frank.
Grew up in Lubbock, Texas, and a lot of history back in the East Coast, in shipyards and whatnot, and back to 1635 in New London, Connecticut, and Groton with all the electric boat company and submarines, and then on my father's mother's side, the ranching in Texas since the 1870s. My great-great-grandfather had the first patent on barbed wire along with Joseph Glidden, and so I still own part of a ranch from 1889 there, and we leased 6 more ranches, so we're still in the ranching business down there. And I've been out in California since '73, and I already told you more than I know.
Well, let's talk a little bit about your archery background. What gets you into archery?
Well, just that Stratojet Ben Pearson solid bow getting ripped off on the ranch in Tucumcari, and I got online to find another one, and next thing I know, I found out about bear archery, and before you know it, I got a little carried away and got well into it.
So your collection, I gotta say, is, I would say without a doubt, the most deep and broad collection that I've seen. And we talked about this earlier at dinner. A lot of people have really deep collections, maybe in broadheads or in books or in bows, or specialize in this or that. But your collection was deep and broad.
Somewhat eclectic, and you had something to do with that. What with being interested in helping kids get going, and so I kind of went that path. And a lot of the bows I collected are all the way from 3 pounds, up to 50 pounds in 5-pound increments, and with the vision of in the quivers and the arm rests and the gloves and the arrows, and what with the thought of youngsters getting started out.
Yeah. Well, some of the amazing things that I saw in your collection today, obviously the big Grumley display bow.
The 8-foot mythical 8-foot.
The mythical bow has been sold on eBay for the last 10 years by how many different Chinese people.
Oh, yeah.
But you had the real thing.
Oh yeah.
And then the Royal Company of Archers. Some of the stuff that this is 1820s, 1830s.
The Queen's Bodyguard in Scotland. Yeah. So I have a lot of interesting things like that, and a lot of children's games and toys and whatnot. I find fascinating.
Yeah.
And the unusual. It's always fun to find.
Right.
And I've bought a lot of things from England, longbows and the stone crossbows. I managed to find 10 of those over a 30-year period, and for shooting pellets and whatnot for a small game, and so just some odd things.
Yeah. What was your favorite?
All of it is just fascinating to me. So hard to say. And then cleaning everything up and putting the strike plates and the rests on them and the right strings, and it's just all. It takes a lot to put all put together. So
yeah. Well, the care that you put into your equipment was obvious, and you didn't buy just anything. You bought the best.
As you said, I was pretty picky
Yeah.
what I would buy, and it couldn't have any twisted limbs or chips or cracks or
Holes
or holes or anything like that. And I would ask the pertinent questions, and if it didn't cut the mustard, then it went back. So I strove to, and again, I told you I was in the 5 pound increments for everything. So I don't know why, but I just like that. So anyway, yeah, it was fun putting it all together.
Well, I think that's a big part of why we do what we do. It's the hunt for the things that we like, the hunt to find that one bow or that one broadhead or that one book that we've been looking for. And when you do find it, it's like finding that 6x6 bull elk,
And I went for the awards and the trophies, whether they're wherever they were from in the world, and so I got a little carried away with all that. But it just all fascinates me. Every facet, hundreds of years ago. Some of my bows are hundreds of years old. So that's the historical, part of it.
Yeah.
I find really fascinating.
So, the Frank Chappell that we've all heard about, the Frank Chappell we've all talked about, this is the real Frank Chappell. He's finally unveiled. And we're doing the interview, just as you would expect, we're doing the interview in Frank Chappell's 1993 F-150.
Dead cowboy truck.
Yeah, his dead cowboy truck.
Off the ranch, yeah.
Yeah.
And I really respected the guy, Wright Hawk. He was a great guy. He taught me a lot. But yep.
When he passed, you were able to get his truck.
I was happy to have it.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Well, Frank, it's great to spend a few days with you. It's been a lot of fun, and I hope we get to.
Nice meeting you guys.
I hope we get to ride motorcycles out on the coast.
That'd be fun.
sometime.
Yeah. That's one of my joys here in Marin County is to ride motorbikes out on the coast, because 80% of the county is open. And I was telling these guys that there's herds of elk out there and deer running around everywhere, and it's an amazing place. Marin County and Sonoma and whatnot, and great bike riding roads, and sold off the Harleys and BMWs, but I still got 10 Ducatis and sold off a couple of those, and yeah, it's good times. Go out and get some fresh seafood and go hang out at the beach, and it's something else for a boy that comes from the desert, in West Texas and New Mexico. And I really enjoy the vegetation out here.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I'll just close by saying, when I think of a life well lived, I will think of Frank Chappell.
Well, thanks for coming out.
All right.
Appreciate
Great to meet you.